Okay. The August meeting of the Board of Water Commissioners is hereby called to order. Before we get started, I'd like to welcome our newest board member or commissioner, Pat Hickey.
Yes.
Okay. Welcome aboard.
Thank you
I
very much.
hope you enjoy your time here. Look forward to you joining us on the board, and good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
Good time to join.
Yeah. Okay, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting. Entertain a motion to accept those or any changes that may need to be.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, that's in both the regular meeting and the special meeting, I guess. We need to do have a separate motion, or can that be for both?
Should be separate motion, separate meeting.
All right.
Okay, a motion and a second to accept the regular meeting minutes. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. And the special meeting, do I have a motion to accept the special meeting minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, carried. Like Mr. Noble, Tim. I'm gonna hold off on bills and accounts until Joanne finishes ordering those. I'm assuming Bob has already looked at them.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Bob. Okay, the most important thing, drought emergency, or the drought update.
Well, it's been just over a week, the last Tuesday, since we declared the emergency. There's been no noticeable decrease in the usage coming into the city. Still no rain, just as dry this week as it was last week. We continue to drop a little bit each day. We are looking at every possible alternative to keep water flowing through the city. I've talked to Town of Ulster, Port Ewan. They're prepared to help in any way they can.
What's the level that we're at now?
And 91.6. 4.4 feet down from current maximum capacity.
Okay.
One of the things maybe as suggestions that we could include on that, on the website about reducing water usage is maybe suggesting to people that they use the quick cycle on the washing machine. It's only like 15 minutes versus 2 hours. Also that when you take a shower, to keep your plug in and use that to flush the toilet. I lived in California for 12 years and 7 years in the drought, so we had to do that. And we, so like I've been watering my plants with just the water from the dishes. So I go out and water all my potted plants with that and my basil and stuff like that. But I don't think it's because the Northeast is used to having no water. People just aren't like, I notice my neighbors know it is watering. Their plants are like bad. Everybody's plants are drooping. But I don't know about washing machines, dishwashers, which use so much water. So anyway, just maybe another suggestion if we get to the point that people.
Dishwashers are incredible. They run for like hours.
Yeah, you have to do that 60-minute run instead, because otherwise it's 2 hours.
Matt, is it 9 to 10 at night? You can do what? You can order.
With the current restrictions, 9 to 10 you can water lawns, trees, shrubs, gardens, golf courses.
I do the Academy Green at 9 o'clock at night. If I can. With just one tree there.
I mean, one of the things that we've talked about is that being that we haven't really gotten a lot of rain, we may at the board want to consider going from kind of drought emergency level 1 to drought emergency level 2, which is really our highest level of emergency, just to be able to continue to place some restrictions, especially having some of our larger customers, implement their conservation plans, being able to, reduce the filling of pools, be able to make sure that there's no watering of ornamental trees, or shrubs or plants at all, other than, vegetable gardens by hand. I definitely would suggest that it's time that we can move to that level. And I think that will help with our kind of public communications about this, just so it's really clear. Before it was like, well, you can only water at certain times, and I think it's this more severe level of restrictions, I think, will help us be able to better communicate, this. And I would suggest that, if the board approves going to that level, that tomorrow, we would do an emergency call to everyone, we would do another class, and, I would maybe want to also ask the board if they are interested in doing a direct mailer to our residents, to be able to let everyone know that we're in a drought emergency, and that these are some water conservation tips. This is where you can find out more information, and kind of put that together in English, Spanish, and get that out to all of our residents via, postal address, kind of current resident kind of. So every, unit gets one in the city, which is about 1,000 housing units in the city. And so it's just
How much would that run?
about $7,500. Half of that for postage and the other half for printing. That's when the city has done all of their mailers that the one just got for, traffic safety, or some of our different plans that we've done. And if the board decides to do something like that, our communications office could help work with our vendor here in Kingston to get that designed and processed and, kind of out the door. It's just an idea. I don't know what to think about that, but I still think that there may be some folks who don't understand the current conditions that we're in, and may just be not connected to us in, one of those ways. It's just hard to reach people. And I know, and not everyone even sees their water bill, right? And so they may not be even getting the water bills that now are saying drought warning, or drought emergency. But not everyone sees those, especially if they live in apartment complexes, and they don't pay for their own water, and things like that.
Which all the bills do say that.
Yeah.
Right, the board on the process.
Yeah, I just got my bill this week and I saw that now.
So Matt, I have a question.
Sure.
Since we initiated the conservation fire, the voluntary,
Yes,
has there been any savings in water usage at all?
nothing noticeable.
Nothing.
We're staying fairly steady. There was, last week, there was one incident where we had a hydrant hit on Hurley Island, and we lost 300 or 400 or 500,000 gallons of water when it was hit at 1 a.m. But it was the worst time for that to happen in the situation. So we did lose quite a bit of water there. It was either Tuesday morning, about 1 o'clock. So
But on a daily basis, you guys are
the city-
checking,
Yeah, I mean, we're out checking hookups every day, which.
no, you're recording or monitoring the water usage on a
Yeah.
daily basis.
Yeah. But it's
And
very
you haven't really
steady.
seen anything
Anything.
of,
The last week has been consistent. No drought.
I mean, I don't see any residents watering, their lawns or their car, washing their cars, anything like that, obvious, so they must be concerned somewhat.
What about town of Burley? Are they supposed to be on a water restriction?
well,
Town of Ulster, sorry. Town of
Well,
Ulster.
they're, depending on where else, 3 of their districts are still being supplied by us,
Mhm.
but the actual town,
Because there are
Ulster
some
Water
people-
District is not being fed by us at all.
Yeah,
They're
'cause-
completely on their own water right now.
Somebody had sprinklers on watering their grass that was newly planted grass. I was just curious. The town of Ulster was over on Laney, around Laney. Carrie, Laney, one of the streets over there.
where's that?
It's, you go up Hilltop, you go make a left, go all the way down into that neighborhood. It's like it's further from Normal Court, but it's around that area, but it's,
Is that the Spring Lake? District?
But we've seen the last week, we've seen people watering, we've been doing door hangers, and we've been attaching a copy of the emergency notice that was posted.
I mean,
Talking to people.
we haven't, instituted any penalties at this point, but
One person,
one person.
one institution that has done stuff in the past, and they knew they shouldn't have been doing. They were doing.
In my neighborhood, there's quite a few residents that have point wells that they use to water their lawn. And you can always ride by the greenest lawn in the neighborhood, but that's totally allowed. It's their water. Right? Point well, so the point drives into the ground and gets water up.
Yeah.
It's not from the
Right.
municipal supply at all.
It might be that what's going on at that person's house too.
Yeah.
That is a low-lying area back there.
Yeah, there's a lot in that.
Yeah,
that
we're thinking
neighborhood.
of doing that in our house.
Yeah, I am
Is
too.
doing that, yeah, because it's water level right there.
What's the flow from the stream, McCollum stream? Is it up or down?
It's down to almost nothing, but we need some rain. Pretty dry.
So I have another question.
Sure.
You know, I'm on Facebook and I see that the show can reservoir is way down also. Would there ever be a possibility that they would say, I'm sorry, you ran that pipe, but.
I mean, we're in contact with them all the time, and we're on our way over there, and they're doing anything, they're willing to do anything they can to help the process along, so they're not holding things up in any way. So, it doesn't seem to be a concern right at the moment.
They haven't said that we're not giving you water or selling you water.
Nice job with your pipe.
Yeah, I saw,
Sorry.
I probably saw the same post.
Oh,
Facebook.
yeah.
Oh,
way
yeah.
down. Lower
I
basement.
asked him the same question earlier.
I mean, I think currently, I think the New York City reservoir system is about 80% at capacity, and I think at this point, Cooper Lake is below 50%.
Up 80% of the show can. Oh, doesn't look it.
Yeah, and they're currently,
Probably most of it's up in the upper basin.
I hope so.
I hope they,
80% of it.
send some back down to the lower basin when we get to that point. Where are we with them in regards to the next steps of actually implementing, taking water from the lower basin?
We're laying pipe. Preparing to lay the pipe. And,
Okay.
there's nothing at the moment with DEP,
Okay,
so we're.
at what point in time do we need to get a barge in there, or how are we laying the pump or the pipe,
Yeah, so that's, I
intake pipe?
think that was a 3-week lead time, so as the pipe's being made, if it gets to the
Okay,
point
so-
where we,
So we're not at that point
not yet.
yet, and it's only a 3-week lead to get the right pump and,
It was 3, maybe 4, I have to go back on the emails, but there was, testing, time for testing and setting everything up, but
and how are they proposing to do that, do you know? I mean, did somebody actually draw the water out of the lower basin?
it's on a floating barge.
Okay. So the pump is the where, on the land or on the barge? You know,
So. I want to say it was on the barge.
because
I have to look,
we had electrical connection,
which is there.
running a line from the pole out to the barge. Just, for me, seems, I don't know, Jim, do you?
I wasn't involved with the barge, how we designed.
Okay, I mean, in the past, when we had our emergency
Well, we
plan,
had, yeah, the pumps were at land and they had suction hoses went out.
yeah, they just had a long
And then we had-
intake pipe out to,
But the pumps were on the trailer mounted and the pumps were then pushed, relocated as the show can lower. The pumps, would be-
okay,
the trailer will be pushed back, it's more into the basins. Yeah, that's the, but that was the, they were not electrical pumps. So
right, they were diesel or
They're
whatever.
diesel driven pumps. The electrical pumps, I don't know how CDM set it up.
Right now, they're focusing on getting pipe down and fuse
Yeah.
as fast as possible. So they're working on getting a third crew to start that.
So are we at the point then we need to implement the next stage of
The emergency,
drought emergency?
I don't think it would hurt.
Okay. So we need a motion then?
Could you just go through the changes one more time? Difference between.
I think it probably is. So basically with from stage 1 to stage 2, the biggest difference would be the use of water that's been supplied by the water department. Can't use it still swimming pools anymore. And you can't use this water any lawns or shrubs, plants, unless it's fruits, vegetables from a handheld container. It also talks about air conditioning systems that are being operated with water.
Do we know who's they are? I mean, generally, they're probably much commercial, larger commercial units.
I don't know, maybe the city might have some, I don't know, that'll be something to look into.
I'm not aware of any large industrial water cooled air conditioning systems. I mean, this policy was written a long time ago. So I think that, but we'll be double checking. As best we
Hospital
can.
may be one.
Yeah, I mean, I saw on the news last week where there was a water main break down in Jersey. And one of the hospitals actually had a truck in, tanker trucks of water for their air conditioning system. They actually had their water cooled air conditioning unit attached to these tractor trailer trucks, tankers. For air conditioning, because it was again 95 degrees, 100 degrees during that water main break. So I guess it'd be nice to try to. I mean, if we do know who they are, we maybe send a special letter out to them. To let them know.
Would it be a possibility to vote on it this evening, or have it take effect, like say in a week, so everybody can be made aware of changes?
So what we did when we did stage one was we saw somebody doing something like Wednesday morning, we had a couple businesses with automatic sprinklers. We didn't go out and find them, we went out and educated them and asked them not to do that. So it's kind of like, we understand there's a catch-up time for people, so it's.
Well, I'm just thinking this is a new time again, so maybe people have a real need for water, even though it doesn't fit in regulation, I mean. So they could let us know that, maybe we could do an amendment or something. People,
You lost my words there.
well, say we initiate this, okay, boom, and they look at this regulation, whoever they are, resident, business, and say, oh my God, that's gonna put me out of business. That would give them time to talk to us before it's initiated.
There is that variance piece of this where it talks about how they can come to the board and discuss.
That would be after it was in effect and they'd already. Would give them just a little.
Alexa, turn off.
Already after we did the stage one, because they would already then been restricted to only doing them from 9 to 10 p.m. at least in terms of the water restrictions. I do think that, if there happens to be any of the water chilled air conditioning facilities, that may be a little bit of a challenge, and I think that we'd like to hear from them if there's a concern there. Because obviously, depending on what kind of facility it is, we don't have to turn it off if it's a nursing home, right? And so we'll have to, figure that out. But I think that, one of the things that, we could do is just at least be willing to talk to people that they're concerned. But I think the point of this now is that we really don't have the water to give them. I mean, at some point.
We need to get the announcement out as soon as possible. And
then we'll hear.
I mean,
our issues.
the issue is what I find.
I didn't get.
We're not gonna let
to
you find it
read
anyway.
I didn't get to read it, so I'm just asking a lot of questions.
That's fine. We are.
Does it have
we're
anything
dropping it,
in
so
here about businesses that more substantial amount, like say bidding water, they use our water? The water company,
They don't use it, I don't believe, for the actual water. I mean, they have.
I mean, do
They're
they
in the city.
get it to sell it? I mean, is there,
I think,
No,
they get it from someplace else. It's already bottled.
but is there any other companies similar to that one, or say the also Uniform use a lot of water in their process of cleaning stuff, I mean, are they restricted at all?
So, yeah, it's on the second page here, I think, number 11 there, where it talks about businesses coming up with reduction plans on their usage. And, so that would-
Well, that's on stage one, isn't it?
but yeah, but it talks about the different stages there, that they're at 15% right now with stage one. And they would have to go up to
20.
20 or
And nobody's reached out to you or anything, they're aware.
Well, on stage two on B, it just says each non-resident user of water from the Kingston Water shall fully implement its stage. Should fully implement its stage two shall mean reduce, what that means, use the water by no less than 20%.
yes,
So basically telling non-resident users that they have to
reduce by.
reduce by 20%. I mean, you're not gonna be able to monitor that unless,
It's difficult to do.
right,
The point is where the reservoir is dropping and hopefully people do what they can to conserve.
So again, I haven't read this, but would that like, shut the city pool down, and things like that? I mean,
They talked about how it won't be able to be built.
they could still use it, they just have to.
At some point, under this new phase two, whether it's a municipal pool or your own backyard pool, like,
They
if you
can't
don't
go,
get any
right?
rain,
They
at
can't.
some point, it will need to close, and for at least, our pool closes in a couple weeks anyway. Because it closes right before, by the end of August, all of the kids that are lifeguards go back to college, and we don't have any lifeguards. But I do think that we will, this will cause inconveniences for folks, there's no question.
But just thinking outside the box, is there a possibility that the city could somehow take water from the river to give to people to use for different purposes or something to that effect? Is that a doable thing? I mean, it's outside the
I mean,
water department, but
I think that, from a drinking water perspective, right, I mean, and, we have our job to do to provide drinking water. I mean, if there are folks that can, wanna go grab a pail of river water to water their plants at home. I mean, there's nothing legally stopping them from doing that, if we were to go ahead and, create some sort of.
no, I
system-
would, it would be
Yeah,
non-potable water. It would
Yeah.
just be water that, is not authorized for drinking.
Yeah.
Just-
I mean, people, when they put a new pool in, sometimes instead of buying water from.
Yeah, they'll get it from.
Turco or wherever and truck it in, so I mean, that option is available to them as a homeowner.
I think they would charge you a surcharge for one delivery and you
Oh, I'm sure.
need 6 inches and are gonna.
Right, I'm sure it's not cheap, I'm sure it's pretty expensive. I mean, at this point in time, it's,
No, I just think it's a big decision, it's probably what we're talking about, and we should make sure we consider everything we possibly can before we make this decision. Does anybody look in the forecast ahead, weather-wise? I mean,
No.
you didn't. Talk
It's
to
no
anyone.
more pleasant outlook than it has been for the.
No, in the last, next couple of weeks.
There might be some raindrops in the forecast, but that doesn't,
well,
No,
We- we-
depressed me.
we need
Depressed
some considerable rain.
I have a question about communication with the public. So with the texts and the phone calls that we get to our phones, how does that, like, who does that go to? You have to register your phone to get that, right?
No, so,
No?
if you have a landline, which not
Mhm.
everyone has anymore, all landlines are automatically in the system.
Okay,
So if you have a phone that's attached to some sort of copper line or some sort of, real infrastructure, those are all publicly available and are added, just like what would be in a phone book is added into our system. For everyone else that has a cell phone, over the last couple of years, people have been able to go on the website and register their cell phones.
oh, that's what I thought,
Yes, and
because,
so then
yeah,
you can get,
Okay.
when you do that, you then get the phone calls and text messages, to your phone. There are other techniques and mechanisms out there that send alerts to all cell phones, and that's something that we can explore, that we don't have control over, but we can talk to, folks from emergency management and other things, kind of like reverse 911, that can call everyone. Those are usually safer Amber alerts and things like that, but you know, at some point during this process, if we don't get more rain, you know, we're gonna have to continue to use all of our avenues. But yes, it does cover, I think, you know, there's a lot of phone calls that go out, I don't know what the number is, but it's in the, you know, thousand, 11,000, 12,000. Some sort of, it's a pretty big database of calls that go out, when we do this.
Yeah, I was just curious about an alternative to doing the mailers.
Yeah.
Mailers are really good too, but for the cost of the mailers, if we could do something where it could just be like a 911 alert, if it would, how much would there be a cost associated with that?
No, it generally just goes to, you know, the message on the phone.
Okay.
Usually the concern with those is that it's basically can be, you know, like the text message or that they can send out is basically like 7 lines. You know, like tornado warning, now take cover. You know, we would basically be able to do
Okay, so we.
drought warning,
Okay.
conserve water, and you know, the amount of information that we can get out in that would then take that person to go and do something to find out more about what that
Go to a
means.
website and
And-
see what the restrictions
Which is
are.
sometimes the nice thing about a mailer is that they can, you know, may take them a couple days to look at it on their counter, but when they do look at it, it's like, oh, we're in a drought warning. Oh, I really should check my toilet that's leaking. You know, or I really need to stop, you know.
My only
ordering
concern is I feel most of that stuff just goes in the trash.
Yeah, and it's totally bang, and it's just, you know, it's just I wanted to throw it out there just as an option, just so that we can make sure that we kind of check the boxes. But I think it would be good for board members too, to ask your neighbors, you know, hey, have you heard that we're in a drought at all? And if they're like, no, then
They are no,
do they know? That's good. That's,
they don't know.
oh, they don't know.
No,
right?
no, they.
Yeah, and so-
My neighbor had to walk that one loaner in the lawn. Is it drought warning, really? Can't do that.
so that's after our Swift 911 calls, that's after our email blast, that's after the Daily Freeman and the Kingston Wire and everyone else have written about this, and people still are like, we're in a drought warning. And so we may have to continue to repeat this until we get some rain, and because even with, you know, these other systems that we're putting in place to get back up water, you know, it's still going to be a tenuous situation. You know, because any sources that we're getting water from may or may not have enough for us, right? You know, whether it's the Ashokan or other systems that we're able to tap into, like I think as you mentioned, living in California, like we're in a place where if we're currently at 4.1 million gallons a day, like we really need to get that number down to a place where it may be somewhat uncomfortable for folks to, you know, be living here. I mean, they're gonna see their plants die, they're gonna see their cars get dirty, they're gonna see their pool not being able to get filled, and I think for the first time in over, right, with less than a decade plus that we've had
The
it.
last emergency was 2012, I think.
So it's been a while, and we have a lot of residents that just haven't experienced this before.
Maybe we could get some kind of temporary signage and put it on the water department vehicles, you know, drought emergency, conserve water now.
I think we really are probably gonna have to do the fire, because I think, and I don't know, sometimes, like I said before, living in the Northeast, company, things like,
Yeah.
gonna run out of water.
And part of the problem is it does rain in the city.
Oh, yeah, and they think, oh,
A lot of the storms have been moving south. That doesn't help us at all. We need the rain. It could rain 4 inches right now. That's not gonna do a thing for our road. We need the rain by the intake.
maybe we can get a banner and hang it on the trees.
That's what
I mean, people go through that and.
Yeah.
You know, a kiosk thing out here on the lit up sign. They're not,
It's
Yeah.
very hot.
Yeah, Broadway.
I think you should be like advertise like COVID was in the towns every day. In the paper, every time I look at the paper, they gave you the statistics, the ups and downs, and
then they had signs out and about.
yeah, everywhere,
Yeah,
and on the
streets and
radio, you
stuff.
heard about it every day.
Mhm.
Every-
That was also a nat-
Every day.
Yeah.
That was a national thing too. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, people sometimes.
so, okay, I guess the first question is a motion to declare stage 2, right? Drought emergency,
maybe we should do it.
Okay, and effective immediately. And if someone has a problem, hopefully they'll get to us immediately and we'll hash it out.
Matt says it's warranted, right, Matt?
But I think we need to get out there that this is serious, I mean, it's a safe water.
Okay, so entertain a motion to declare a stage 2 drought emergency. I have a motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
I think Bob just seconded.
I'll second.
Okay, any other further discussion on that aspect of it? Okay, those in favor? Opposed? And carried. We talked about buying water from town of Ulster. Do we want to entertain that at this point? Or is that something that Matt makes the decision on his own, or is that something that,
So you don't have an amount, don't have a limit, don't have any of the details at the moment, right?
It would be what's available. If it's gonna be a day to day, they can't guarantee me they're gonna send me 200 a day around it. Could be between 1 to 200 a day, potentially, depending on the day of the week.
Do you have any parameters like dollars or amounts or?
What we've done in the past was based on the contract that we have with them. I haven't discussed the dollars with them to this point, but I can reach out
Do
to.
you think you have to do that before your next meeting?
You can start buying from what's available, yeah.
I just think you're gonna have a motion, you're gonna have to have some parameters in the motion, either to the amount of money you're going to spend, or the amount of water you're gonna take and the rate you're gonna pay that. You don't have any of that information yet, right?
I don't have a, in the past, it's been based on our.
well, how did we do it the last time we bought water from town of Ulster when we had the transmission main go out for 3 days?
But didn't we had an agreement with them as how much you were paying and how much?
Well, I don't know how we did that. I guess that's the question.
It's the same agreement now that we sell to them, 700 a day. But we shut that off.
Price?
There's a price in that 700. There's a price for the first 500 and a price for the next 2.
So you do have that.
That we sell to Ulster, yeah.
So it's in accordance with the prior agreement. Yeah, it was a motion to buy water from the town of Ulster, consistent with the same agreement that was used previously at the same rate. That's a question. No,
It could be based on the same rate that we
That we
sell
sell
for
to
the town.
Ulster. Yeah, that's what I'm,
Yeah.
that's what I'm trying to.
We could propose that, you know, that would be our limitations on that, would be that.
Yeah.
You know, he has the allowability to purchase water from the town of Ulster. In accordance with the same rates and policies that we have in place when we sell water to the town of Ulster.
that's correct.
That's what I was, yeah, so I'm trying to.
So I'm good. That would be appropriate.
So could we authorize him the ability to do that up to the 700,000 gallons? Obviously, we know we're not gonna buy that much, but it's the same as.
Well, yeah, I don't even know how much they can.
They're not, maybe 200 a day.
Okay.
But we would have to be based on the day and, you know, it's a hot, dry summer, so we're not looking to compromise town of Ulster. But any help that they can offer, they're willing to do so.
Okay, and how long are we gonna be doing this for? Use 200,000 gallons a day?
There's no, whatever they have available,
Okay,
so.
Do we want to set an amount up to amount? I mean, they didn't give you the impression that they would give you.
Meeting too, you know.
Yeah,
We'll amend that, but I think you should have something in this system around.
I mean, if they could give us 300 in a day, that would be, I can't give you, I don't know what the maximum would be, I mean, 500, because they're not gonna be able to sell us 500. Anything they can give us is going to help us.
so you
And it's
just
gonna be
have to
dependent
talk
on
to-
what their wells look like and the plant, how the plant's going, so it's not something they can give, and it might, once we get to September, if it's still an issue, they could probably, you know, potentially give us more, it starts cooling down. Because they have a lot, they're dealing with warm, dry summer as well. They're not in a situation
so we
where,
want to say up to 500,000 gallons a day. Just, I mean, because it makes, you make it seem like they're not going to even be able to provide us near that amount. So that just, it's a safety thing. It's a number. Okay. Is that a motion that you made then,
Sure.
Mayor?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor, second. Any other further discussion on that motion? Okay, those in favor? Opposed? And carried. Is there anything else under the drought?
Yeah, I can keep going.
Okay,
So. Okay, I'll put my notes here, we haven't covered. So I'm working with CDM, the possible ways so we can shorten the connection from the Chocan. If there's alternatives, altering the plan that was in place by running it all the way to the PTF. There's other things that can be done, so that's something that we're working with Dale and engineers are working on. Let's see what else. I met with Port Huron. That would be a longer thing to set up.
Right.
They have water they could potentially send us as well. Across the bridge. Reservoir Four, we have some water there, and I've talked to
Right.
Godwin Pumps about getting a pump, so we can pump it out of 4. And that could be anywhere from 50 to 70 gallons available, depending. We've taken algae counts of the water. We've jar tested it to see if it can be treated with alum.
mhm,
It's better than we thought, it's not very. So we're looking at that.
what's the quality of the water from the Chocan?
Not as good as Cooper Lake.
No, but it's, where it's any better or worse than Reservoir Four.
So it's, I mean, we
See, Ellen
can
was
treat
just,
4.
Alan was just for turbidity, but, so everything else would pass and perhaps the turbidity would be a little bit low on the, not, it would be in spec, but not quite,
It would be higher than what we usually,
yeah,
it's be more turbid than what we
Yeah, more
typically treat.
But it still would be within,
It's very, very good water.
okay, but it's.
but it's still within
Yeah,
code.
but still be
Yeah, I
within,
mean,
but just a
We
little
have to
bit,
start treating it,
Yeah.
that's what we think we.
Right, you may have to
okay.
run the filters more
Well,
often.
As long as it's in spec, then it should be fine. Okay,
I like you to
That's
try to
possible, yeah.
pursue that Reservoir
To pump it
Four
out.
option. Because all that is pumping our own water as opposed to buying.
But yeah, I talked to Godwin Pumps about getting a rental to pump it out of 4 to the Cooper Lake line. That's PTF,
Okay. How far of a run is that?
by 600 feet,
Oh, it's not
so
next to nothing.
just downhill basically.
Yeah, I really try to pursue that one. I like that option. As long as the,
That was one of the ones I was talking to CDM with, so.
okay,
Yeah, we get the pumps, the right pumps, and say you pump a million and a half out of 4 a day, that gives you another 45 days. By reducing Cooper Lake.
right, and then we're
It's
not,
definitely a viable alternative. to
we're not paying for the water we're gonna be
We're not
buying
paying
from
for
Ulster.
No water. Definitely a viable alternative that should be continued to be investigated.
I've also spoken to Godwin about a pump for Cooper Lake. So if we drop below the intake at Cooper
Mhm.
Lake, there's still considerable amount of water there. You
Right,
just have to get it out of the lake because it'll be below the intake.
right.
and how do we pump it out of reservoir?
Just put a pump on the dam and run a pipe down the hill.
Okay, so it's not like a big deal. It's,
I mean.
Compared to.
you just go out there with a pipe and a pump, right?
I mean, it's a possibility we're exploring it. There could be one
Okay,
pipe.
okay.
It sounds like a better option than even pumping it from the Chocan. This,
Yeah,
because the Chocan,
It would be a quick way to get some water potential.
okay.
But we're looking into what we can do.
And what is the time frame? Do you think that would take for that?
Godwin says they have a pump that they can get us, so
Who?
the pump, right, they have a pump
Oh,
available.
okay, okay.
So that would just be
okay.
a matter of getting pipe run from there
Yeah,
and road crossing has
it's
to.
the road crossing.
But I've also talked to the engineer about maybe changing the schedule around the road crossing.
take the pipe from the Chocan, put it over there.
It's a different diameter.
Sounds good.
This is probably a 6-inch line would be more than enough. From 4
To PTF?
Yeah, you still 600 feet.
Right.
No time.
Yeah, I like that idea. Pursue that one.
The other thing is, while we are out every day looking for leaks, I've contacted the leak detection company that we've used in the past, and gotten a rate from them. And if we were to do the entire city, we're looking at $60,000. So that'd be 2 techs, maybe 2.5, 3 weeks, coming out to leak detect the entire distribution system to help us find any potential service leaks or main leaks, main breaks. We've also gone out to the known service leaks and we notified them that they need to get their lines repaired. A lot of them have responded. We got a higher response rate than I was expecting, so that's good. And those are hopefully going to be repaired soon. And there's a few more that are going to be out there hanging. Worked
I
on
mean,
those.
didn't we just hire those, that leak detection, not that long ago?
They were here for 1 day back in February.
Yeah, I thought we had, well, I thought we had a big.
Not an entire system survey.
I thought we did it in a
We've
couple,
done
over
bits
a
and
couple of
pieces.
years, we did the whole system over 2 or 3 years, didn't we?
We have been working. Are you still there, Ryan?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you know when we did the leak detection company came in and, because I thought we did the entire city over a distribution system over the course of 2 years.
Not since I've been.
No, we did Foxhole's high pump area and we did Grandview's high area. And we started doing all of downtown. So I think Foxhole, I don't have any paperwork in front of me. I think Foxhole was 2019. I think Grandview was the second half of 2019. And I think downtown was 2020.
It might have been, but maybe it was reading the meters that we were checking, that they were running correctly. Maybe that was where we did the more
That was
expensive.
more recent.
Mhm.
Maybe that's what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's just an option I want to throw out there for
Okay.
if we wanted to do a full system survey and get any potential leaks. That's about what it would be, 60,000.
I mean, I think the benefit of that is that, whether it's, finding the leaks also helps with not only this situation, but it does also help with the greater infrastructure system, because then the water department can know more when we're out there ripping up roads, putting in sewer lines, paving roads. If we're able to identify where leaks are, the city's then not spending, a couple $100,000 paving streets, and then the water department is in there 2 weeks later, fixing a leak on someone's service. It's a whole lot better if we have more information, so it could serve double duty in terms of, and I think because of the drought that Matt mentioned, there's, I think people are a little bit more responsive when we tell them that they have a leak at their service. And I think this would be a time for us to, I think, identify some of those, private lateral leaks. If we, we're kind of in a, a drought. So I think this would be the time if we were gonna do a leak detection analysis, like I think more people are paying attention to those issues now than they would be if they're just not in a drought.
So you can probably save us chemicals too, right? You gotta treat all that water that's.
Yeah, our lost water,
Chemicals are high up, right?
the goal would be to find some of that lost water that we are treating and it's being lost.
It would definitely be a good idea to find the leaks. I have a curious about something. How often, when we tear up the roads, does that cause something, a problem? Like, how often does that happen? It happens, I know, sometimes, because we've had it come up in our meetings, but how often does it happen?
I'm not sure I
You know,
understand.
Well, so when we're divvying up the roads, I know with,
When you say we, like the
well,
water
no,
department or?
okay.
Mullins.
Well, Mullins, yeah, there were a number of cases where Mullins
Mullins.
putting in
yeah.
gas lines.
That was the gas.
Created.
Centralized. Okay, so that's the big problem when that happens. But what about just the paving the roads? That probably is not a problem at all, right?
Generally,
That would be,
we don't make a lot of vibrations with
Mhm.
that. It's when they go down.
okay, so
Or sewer work. If we're doing sewer work, we have to coordinate a lot with the water department. Our sewer lines really close to the water lines, like they sometimes break. But it is, the general street vibrations don't really do much to the pipes.
okay, So I was thinking more of when it was with the Central Hudson and we were
Yeah.
doing all that kind of stuff, because we had a lot of problems then. Okay,
So we're waiting on the leak detection, or
well,
we
where would
want
we
to
get
expend
the
the,
money from? Where would
well, I
we?
don't know, that's the big
Yeah,
thing.
that's who we.
That's my question all the time, Joanne. Where's it $60,000 coming from?
Matt's gonna tell you in a minute.
In addition to the money,
We are carrying a decent balance in our checking account. I don't know where we are with ARPA funds, but I can talk to John Tui. I don't know where that's at in that stage, but I know we have money from the ARPA funding that is going to be available. I have to talk to John about how soon it would be available. The procurement process, if this would be something that would qualify. But
Yeah,
$60,000 versus finding any potential leaks that are wasting water.
and how long would this take them to do this detection?
If it's only for 2 people, maybe 3 weeks. Then send in two tests.
Okay, and then when we do have detect leaks, we notify the people
If it's theirs.
if it's theirs. And then if they don't fix the leak, then we come in, and if it's just something minor, or we send them a bill, remember, that was the last how.
Well,
with them.
Yeah, it's a long process, so it's,
Yeah,
sending them and then we find them. That goes on their water bill as an unpaid thing.
but I guess it's better to start it so that for the future, that we, if we have leaks, we want to try to conserve water. Because, who knows, how often we're gonna get into a drought with the weird changes that we're having happen with our climate, because this has been bizarre weather with this almost tropical weather that we've been having, the high humidity and the rain every day, just a tiny bit goes right back, humidity goes right back up.
Florida weather.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there a motion then to expend $60,000 for leak detection then?
I'll make that.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Bob said he'd second it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? I mean, are they available, I guess, or?
Ryan and I both talked to them and they can get those people. We
Okay.
already started the conversation. Anticipation of potentially moving
Okay, so
forward.
it's a motion to spend $60,000 to have the entire distribution system leak detection company come in.
GPRS.
Who is it?
GPRS.
Okay, motion and a second. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
GPRS.
Okay. What else? Anything else? On Drought?
No. I don't think so.
City Drought have policy. Sure.
What?
Have you adopted?
Oh, no, we didn't adopt the new rules and regs for restrictions.
Oh, these are new?
Skipped over that when we did. It changed stage 2 and stage 3 were combined into one.
Okay. So this is what we're approving.
Yeah, we kind of skipped over the approval
Okay.
of modified restrictions for water use.
Okay, so motion to accept water restriction use regulations.
Make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Aye.
Okay. Any further discussion on that? Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And carried.
This isn't really, it's kind of related to the Drought, well, it definitely is, but it's finance related. I just think that, as Matt moves forward with some of these, discussions and projects, I do think that as a board, we just probably need to be ready and recognize that. And potentially may need to actually either set up a funding stream or give Matt the authority to set up what will be needed, but I know that like when we've had emergencies in the city of Kingston, I'm able to declare, a local state of emergency that then gives me authority to basically spend whatever I need to do to be able to protect health and safety. Depending on where this drought goes, that's something that we may have to consider anyway. But I will say that, our budget isn't really set up to necessarily, allow Matt the flexibility as always to kind of do what he needs to do, whether it's buying water from someone or, we should probably consider putting some of that money that we have either in the fund balance or whatever, kind of rainy day account that we have, that may need to be tapped into to be able to deal with this emergency. And there may also need to be bonding that we may have to do if we need to buy pumps, rent pumps, just talking, and some of this stuff is already set aside in the Cooper Lake project. And so we have money set aside for that. But I don't know if we necessarily have money set aside for some of these other water related expenses, like the $60,000 that we just approved. We may want to consider basically designating a pot of money that we're going to have as kind of our emergency account that we're going to pull from, and then really be able to talk to Matt and his team about figuring out what if any of that we will want to bond for eventually. Whether it's we have to run a pump or reservoir for a long extended period of time, like those are costs that obviously are not currently in the budget. And we may also not be able to spend those immediately out of our operating fund, and we may need to bond for some of those costs depending on what they are. And of course, that'll just take some time. And so I just think that we also need to be making sure that Matt has the resources that he needs to do the work here, because I think the next couple of months are gonna be a little bit of a challenge for us. So just wanted to throw that out there. I know, Matt, you don't have any specific requests for us today, but I just wanted to mention it to everybody that I think we may have to have another meeting at some point to talk more about the finances of all of this. So, yeah.
It continues,
Yeah.
wait. Hurricane season.
I think that's all I got on that.
Okay. You want to jump back to presentation of bills and accounts?
Sure.
Did you, do I have a motion to accept that based upon the audits?
And make the motion to accept the bills and accounts as presented.
I'll second it.
And those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Cooper Lake.
So the actual construction moving along very well. The tower is up to where it needs to be. It's waiting for the building to be delivered. That will happen by the end of September, mid-September. They're installing pipe upstream up to the coffer dam. It's been installed, it's encased in the concrete. They started to run downstream from the building to the meter chamber. That is done. From the building to the spillway, that's been connected to the low level emergency drain. That's done. At this point, they're doing some clay placement for the core. They're building up around the tower, preparation of the crane coming in to remove the sheet piling so they can run the excavation, run the pipe out in the coffer dam area.
So what pipe is in from the,
So it's basically the pipe run from where the coffer dam is now, all the way down to where the meter chamber building will be.
okay,
The spillway is done down to where the meter chamber is now as well.
and then, but they're gonna extend the pipe on the other side of the coffer
On the
dam?
upstream side, yes, it'll go into where the coffer dam is. The low level, medium and the high level.
Okay.
Put in there.
I probably should remember this, but one of the neighbors actually I saw recently approached me and asked, are we leaving the little brick building that is our current intake?
No, that would be chopped. Yeah. So it's gonna be,
Where you want it?
Well, I think that they just felt like it was kind of like just a nice look on the lake to have it there.
no, it won't. So when the dam is done, top of the dam will be higher than the building is now.
Yeah,
So it'll be basically where the roof of that building starts, it's gonna be the new bottom of the dam. So. It'll be gone.
Okay.
It'll be a big building on top of the new tower, twice as. So it's gonna be a big building, it's a big tower. It's a skyscraper underground right now, or will be underground. But so quite a structure.
I should back up and take a look at what it is.
maybe we should just take the building and put it off to the side, with a little plaque on it. You can use it as a little storage. Facility.
Marker.
Sure, they just can't take that building up.
But I can't pick it up. And move it. Yeah.
So that's the work up there is coming along well.
Okay.
That's where they're at, running pipe.
And they hope to be done with all of that this fall, right? Basically, the water infrastructure part of the,
Yeah,
project?
project, to get the water piece, so then they can start, they need to remove some rocks to finish the spillway, but. I've asked them not to touch the roll that's there.
Right, until you-
To the current,
until we get everything else. Oh,
they start hammering that rock, it could destroy it, so we don't want to break what we got. So we're gonna get the other one fully functional and then finish the spillway. But the piece that's there, the spillway is there, it's fully encased, buried, it's gone, we'll never see it again. And the clay court is being built up from the spillway over to the building, the take tower.
Well, if you happen to be going up there in the future, I'm sure you're up there quite often.
Yeah.
Give me a call, maybe I'll ride up with you. We had 2020.
Not really a ton there, we still have some valves that we need to test. But one of the things with turning those valves to see if they work is you stir up a lot of the water. And I didn't really think it was a great time to be going out there to run hydrants to flush the system. So that work has slowed down a little bit, but we're still working on getting everything CDM needs to the bid docs prepared. But it's a little hard to test those valves if we can't flush the system. Not that we can, but we can avoid running hydrants.
Yeah.
At this point, it's.
Yeah, which is a bad look.
Yeah,
You're driving,
we need
you
water,
gotta-
so.
Fire hydrant. Wide open. Okay. SCADA support submitted.
From the last meeting, and so that's the one. Their CDM supports the SCADA system, if we need anything, we give them a call, and it's added the rate schedule.
And so who are what level of these services are the guys who would normally be dealing with the SCADA support?
Project engineer, that I think the most common individual is,
What is it?
project engineer.
Project engineer? Okay, project engineer scientist?
And there's not a ton of field service, because most of this can be resolved remotely, but
Right.
it is important to have the SCADA now, we're kind of tied to it, that we have it. We get alarms from it, stuff like that.
And so they bill us as, you know, as you call them up and say,
Right.
we have an issue,
The alarms at any water.
Yeah.
Something like that.
and then they bill us on a monthly basis or
Yeah, so
whatever it is.
if we call them, like, this is basically our GIS contract, but for SCADA, and we don't get a GIS bill every month. But we don't call them.
Right, you don't call them, but yeah, within a month or 30 days, if we call them and we X's their services, then you will get a bill.
bill for $100.
And then you just track that for the $20,000 worth of. Okay, so looking for a motion to accept this contract.
Make the motion.
Any further discussion? Contract for $20,000 with CDM. Okay, those in favor? Opposed? And carried. Quarry Street.
So work is complete. They're out of there. Can't remember exactly when they left, maybe 2 weeks ago. So that went fairly well. I'm waiting for them, or near Larry was waiting for them to submit the pay app so then they can break down the costs.
Have we paid anything?
Not to Brooks.
Okay.
So they will still
Who
submit.
would we paid whatever to?
Near Larry has progress payments that they
Okay.
received. So they'll submit their pay app. They have a record of what we do on what part of the project, and that'll be used to determine how much we go to school for their half of a rock at all.
I don't know if you want to give Pat a little update. What we did was there was a transmission line or distribution line down Quarry Street from JWB. In the past, we had problems with leaks. The pipe was laid almost on bedrock, and every time something in the winter, the pipe would freeze, so we ran a new pipe. Hopefully it's not sitting on bedrock or whatever was causing the leak.
It wasn't nearly as much rock. It's just basically a bit of contract, it's basically blasting job, but it turned into more of a. Not nearly that much rock, so they didn't blast anything at all.
So we split actually half that line is actually on JWB or the school system's property. So the entire bill is going to be split between us and the school system because they're basically getting in line from. And Howland Avenue, I guess.
So it's basically a project.
It is. So, and that was completed just this past month or so.
2 weeks ago.
Okay. Tech City.
I have no updates there. They're paying the bills. I haven't heard anything about the plans out there.
All the leaks out there taken care of.
Yeah, their usage is back down, so they have the frozen meter that was the last month maybe. And then we went out there and we read it again, and now it's dropped down, so minimal usage.
At some point in time, we need to, I guess, sit down with them and figure out who the owner is out there, right? We haven't heard anything new about. I remember what Jim Quigley said last meeting about them. Do you know, Mayor?
He basically said he doesn't know their plans yet either, but he's hopeful that they will share them soon.
Well, I thought it made it seem like the county was gonna be selling them or giving them.
Yeah. I think that, yeah, the thing that what we read is that there is a closing plans for that other half of the property.
8 months.
Yeah, in September, right? Or August or September.
Last time we were there, it was within the next 30 days. That's what I was thinking.
So we don't know.
Yeah.
All right. Well, if you happen to be talking to the county, so maybe you can.
Yeah.
Ask where they are with the transfer of that property at some point in time. If they have legal ownership of that entire parcel.
I cannot figure it out myself, honestly. Every time I pick it up and read it, said we closed on it, but we haven't had our closing yet. I don't know.
Quite frankly.
Yeah.
At this point in time, we got enough iron
And
in
they
the
fire
fire.
it with the names on it, and even looking it up in the county clerk's records, they can't figure it out.
Correspondence. Superintendent's report.
I have a question. On the elevation, yeah, there on the page 2.
Yep.
What is that, the elevation up? What's it?
So that's the 13.4, you mean? The 13.4, what is that? Oh, the elevation of Cooper Lake. So it's 13.4.
Where's the production source? That page,
Yeah, so it's the elevation of Cooper Lake.
elevation lake. But this would look like it's higher, 13.4
It's-
now.
Yeah, I mean, it probably should be negative. I kept the format same. I didn't want. I
It was
wasn't
higher
worried about
than
anything
it was
else,
in
but
January.
it's lower. It's 13 feet down from 1106.
Oh, so this mounted down.
1106 is what you're working on.
I think I know that.
1106 is what the reservoir would be at full, at at the, whatever the boards were called on the
The flashboards.
flash boards on the spillway. Right, and that's 11:06.
Now you're.
So it's
1096.
people.
Now we're
that
at
are-
1096, you'll have 10 feet drop, that contractor. And, now.
And we're down to 1091.
1091.56.
We had to reduce the elevation in order for them to go in and do the work. So, and then the problem is it's not filling back up because there's no water entering.
Yeah.
God, who made that decision?
I don't know.
In a drought.
It's really probably a negative there, right? When you start looking at the elevation.
Yeah.
That 13.4 is technically. Okay, motion to accept the superintendent's report.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Anything for executive session? Anything else?
Make the motion to adjourn.
Okay, a second for that?
Second.
Okay, those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
If
thank
we
you. Opposed? Thank you.